You can buy it.
What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. And today we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about, not in this order, Mbappe to Real Madrid. We're going to talk about the Liverpool versus Arsenal game, how important that game was for Arsenal. We're going to talk about Trossard's goal. We're going to talk about Manchester United winning 2 in a row in the Premier League, but then we lose Martinez. So there's going to be some repercussions from losing Martinez. We're going to talk about Chelsea, Pochettino, and Chelsea's owners. We're going to show Aston Villa some love. We're going to talk about Southampton, how they did in the championship this weekend, and where they at now. And we're going to talk about Spurs blowing it to Everton, a team in the relegation zone that they couldn't beat. You want to be big boys, you got to beat the teams in the relegation zone, especially when you're using their player. But we got some of the usual suspects. We got Lee Hudson, stand-up comic from England, Southampton fans. You can see the 2 jerseys in the background. What up, Lee?
Yeah, all good. Another weekend on the unbeaten run. So yeah, the good times are rolling.
The kid is growing. Kids grow up fast. 23 years old now. 23.
23. Who knows how long it'll carry on for? But I mean, I'm enjoying it.
Unbelievable. And Martin, what up, fam? Martin Harris, actor, stand-up comic, obviously in the witness relocation program right now, based on the lighting that he's giving us. Looks like what was that cereal that they used to, Tony the Tiger commercial right now, when they used to have like adults admitting that they loved the cereal, they used to admit it in the dark back in the day. But yeah, what's up, Martin? How you doing, man? Yeah, you should be hiding. Man, yeah, that is not winning light.
Stops. Yeah, never had. Yeah, it's not. It works when I watch TV and stuff, but maybe not for the podcasting and reading, which I also do sometimes. Sorry for missing so many weeks. I just wasn't up with watching games, but I actually watched some games this weekend. So there is something I can say that makes half of a sense.
All right, good. You have some respect for the game, so you want to be up on it, but. So we like that. But, good to have you back, man. Just get a ring light. You don't have a ring light? You're an actor. I know you don't audition at home.
Yeah, I do have a ring light. You know what? Actually, I do have a ring light. Give me a second.
Yeah, go get the ring light. Yeah. Hey, who doesn't have a ring light? Like, there's people in prison that got ring lights. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has a ring light. People's mothers, grandmothers, like non-actors, everybody has a ring light, So I guess we'll get into it, and then Martin can join once he gets his ring light. But Liverpool versus Aston Villa. How do you feel about the game? Boom, there you go, Martin. Liverpool versus Arsenal. Sorry, how do you feel about the game, Lee?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Obviously, there's a lot of pressure because I think if Arsenal had lost this game, it would have kind of put them maybe a little bit too far out of the title reckoning, because obviously City got games in hand. Liverpool would have extended their lead above them to, I think, 5 points if they hadn't won that. So yeah, there was a little bit of pressure on Arsenal. They wouldn't have been out of it sort of mathematically, but I think it would have probably broken them if they had lost that game. But they showed up, and I can't remember a big game, like a game of that level of magnitude before, that's been settled by such ugly goals. Every goal in this game was ugly. Every goal in this game was hideous. They were not pretty goals. No Arsenal fan cares because they won the game, but there were just defensive mistakes, goalkeeping mistakes, everything. It was an ugly game of football in terms of the goals. The actual quality of the game itself was nice, but the goals were disgusting.
So you've never seen a game of this magnitude being settled by non-league goals?
Exactly, yeah. These were amateur goals that were being scored in these games.
Well, two of them for sure. The first Liverpool one was, and the second Arsenal one was for sure.
Yeah. But even the other two, like the first Arsenal goal was a rebound, which, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's a scrappy goal. And then the second one, it's a big deflection that takes it through Alisson's legs, off of Van Dijk as well for the Trossard goal.
I want to give Trossard the props for basically being at the half line, being surrounded by Elliott and that maniac that will chase you all over the place, the Colombian cat, and taking it into the box by himself. You got Van Dijk, and you got the one-on-one goal stopper in front of you, and you get the ball in the back of the net somehow. I think like that's a feat in itself alone. Yeah, but I feel you. Like, because of the deflection, but that doesn't take anything away from me. I like that goal. I want to give Trossard props for that.
Oh, the run was fantastic. Yeah, but no, I thought it was an interesting decision by Klopp to start with Nunez on the bench. I didn't necessarily agree with that. There's nothing wrong with the front three of Diaz, Jota, and Gakpo. But I kind of feel like in a game like this, where the intensity is quite high, there's a bit of an atmosphere. I think someone like Nunez who's going to run, he's going to fight, he's going to, he's just going to be a problem. He's going to run in behind, and I feel like he would have been more useful to them in this game. But yeah, hindsight's a great thing. But I was surprised. I know he missed a penalty in the last game, but even in that game he was a problem still against Chelsea. I thought he would have started this one.
Yeah, he's a problem. He's always, even his misses are a problem. And a lot of people, like journalists, are saying they're surprised. But if you look at like probably half the games this season, Nunez has come off the bench. So I'm not surprised either. But I don't even want to talk about the game. And then, Martin, I'll ask you how you feel about the game afterwards. I just want to talk about people going in on Arteta for a celebration on the third goal. And they're also, fans are going in on Odegaard's celebration with the camera guy, taking a camera and taking a photo of the camera guy. And they're saying, it's just a game. You're going overboard, Arsenal. You didn't win the league yet. You over-celebrated last year, and then you succumb to the pressure. And I just want to say this in defense of Arteta's over-celebration and Odegaard's celebration. And like the over-celebration of Arteta told me something. It told me that these were the games they lost last year that helped them lose the titles. It also told me that they realized that, and that they spoke about it, and that they realized this is a pressure moment. How are we gonna step up to this pressure moment? And that goal let them know that we have now dealt with the pressure that we didn't deal with last year, and now we're not afraid of it, and this will help us going forward. And the same people who are saying that Arsenal is going overboard with the celebration would be the same people who, if Arsenal had lost this game, would have said Arsenal choke. They lost the league. They couldn't deal with the pressure. So now that they have dealt with the pressure, you can't be like, oh, they're over-celebrating. No, this is a big moment, and this was a big game. Mark, what do you got on this?
Yeah, I was surprised that Liverpool didn't win this game, and I think there were a lot of moments in this game when they were better. A little bit unlucky with the goals. Arsenal, I would say they showed the fight, but Liverpool is still my favorite to win the title. I think sometimes, obviously, it's hard for me to question Klopp. That's his final season. He's one of the best coaches of the last decade or even of the century, and it's hard to question his choices. But I would say, if a guy like Bradley has such a fantastic game in the midweek, you probably should start him in the next game. I think.
Martin, his dad died.
Huh?
Bradley's dad died.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense then. Other than that, I think Liverpool should have gotten at least a draw. This makes things more complicated. It gives a chance to the City, which are not playing their best football this season, but they still can win a title. But I still think that, especially because of the club's announcement that he's going to leave, I still think that all the stars are aligned for Liverpool, but they were not aligned in this particular game.
I feel like I don't like to change my mind about who I thought this was a 2-horse race, Liverpool versus Man City. But I changed my mind. I just now think it's a 3-horse race. I feel like Arsenal has learned from last year, and this game was one of the things that showed me that they've already beat Man City once this season already. So I'll just make it a 3-horse race. Like, it's not, and Man City has just starting to get their players back. So we expect them to kick on. They got 2 games in hand, like Lee said. So I'll just make it a 3-horse race. I'll put more respect on Arsenal's name now as title contenders. I'll do that. And I do think Trossard's goal was quality, but I said that. Anybody else got any thoughts on this? No, you good? Do you want to do Man United versus West Ham first, or Everton versus Spurs?
Let's do United. It's been a good week. Let's let you enjoy it.
Thank you. Thanks to the. Oh man, so it's good and it's bad, but it's mostly good. We have been starting basically 4 defenders that helped us really have a good season last year. And when we didn't have them and we did bad, nobody wanted to give us like any acknowledgement that these players counted. But they're back, and you can say it's just Wolves, but look what Wolves did to Chelsea today. And you could say it's just West Ham, but they were 6. And they knew if we beat them, we would be 6 and they wouldn't be. So, and they know where they are in the table, and they have a really good squad. And just to go to West Ham for a second, they presented a lot of good problems that we solved today. But what I do like about our performance was our shape and our patience, most of all. I think a lot of times this season, we just throw ourselves and try to overpower a team and leave ourselves open. Like today, we attacked with discipline and defended with discipline, and we just did the right things at the right time. And I just want to give all the players credit. And everybody's talking about it. As soon as I saw it, football is so funny. It's like when everybody notices that one thing at the same time. As soon as Garnacho scored that goal, sat on the sideline advertisement, and those other 2 players joined him, everybody knew it was a moment. I knew, and then I look online, and then everybody's posting it, and you're like, oh shit. And it's just, that's another great feeling to the game, to like, that will coin that game. This game would never be forgotten because of that moment. Like, and I just hope 5 years from now, we don't look at that photo and don't see those players playing for our team and being successful. You want to see them continue to, like, don't let this moment just be a photo. It was funny about that photo with Garnacho and Haaland and Kobe, that they jumped off the fence as soon as Rashford ran over. And they were like, you're too old to be in this photo. You're 26. This is a 21 and down photo. You know what I'm saying? You know, but I also want to give Marcus Rashford some credit for causing Man United trouble in the last 2 weeks and making the team galvanize, helping the team galvanize to show everybody, hey, fuck off, leave us alone. Too much leaks, fake leaks, and trouble in the dressing room. Like, we're here to ball and we're here to play. This is the last straw. And it also helped getting all our players back. But yeah, man, Haaland, that goal that he scored today showed that he's getting more comfortable, period, in the Premier League, when he's like, he didn't rush anything. And he knows the defender knows he's left-footed, but he said, nah, bro, take the fake left. I'm going right, and I'm going to score this comfortably hard with my right foot. So it's just the last 2 games. This has been definitely a good week and a great game. I feel bad for Calvin Phillips. Calvin Phillips, hey, man, this is a Premier League. This is not training. Like, you've had 2 bad games in a row. Thank you for having one of those bad games with us. and you got to get your shit together. And just one thing about West Ham, like this loss is another reason for West Ham fans to want to get rid of David Moyes. And one of the reasons why they want to get rid of David Moyes is because of the style of play of West Ham. They don't think it's progressive football, and they feel like a different coach could do more with this team. But if you a West Ham fan and you think a different coach could do better with this team because you're looking at the level of the players and how good the team is, you're also not giving David Moyes the credit for making the personnel of this team as good as it is, so that now you think somebody else could do better with it. So you hate him for the same reason you should love him for. And, but hey, man, we were just on one today. We were at home, and this is going to be, if we have all our people back, and we're playing more defensive now. We're not just like being open for people to take advantage of us. Because definitely this was a game where we could have played into West Ham's like low block style, and they counter on us, get goal, and then open us up because we open up to try to get that goal back. But once we got the first goal, we had them right where we wanted them. What you got, Martin?
Yeah, I'm very surprised that somebody can call to have David Moyes dismissed. I think he did an incredible job. If he was supposed to be fired, like what about Ten Hag? I mean, like with the resources he had, he built a pretty good team. What about Pochettino? Since he left the Spurs, it's almost like he left all his powers at the Spurs, because it's been pretty bad. No, I mean, listen, Garnacho is definitely a keeper. He's the player of the season for you guys. He's like discovery of the season, at least. I still think you're massively underachieving, but good week for sure. The week started, let's not forget, the week started with Jose Mourinho saying publicly that he wouldn't mind coming back and coach United as soon as possible.
I wouldn't mind coming back and coaching United. I ain't going to get the job.
Yeah, I mean, that created a lot of headlines, people speculating how realistic it is, if Ten Hag keeps losing or keeps losing points. Can they really go for Mourinho because of his link with what's the new owner of United? What's his name?
Sir Jim Ratcliffe.
Yeah, they're apparently they talk. They have a relationship. So that was like the one point where some media members are putting out that it is not that impossible as it sounds because of their relationship. But I think those two games definitely helped Ten Hag to keep his job, and let's see for how long.
Any points on this game? On this, just a total game.
Professional win. West Ham is not an easy team to play. They beat us, not at home, but they beat us, not at our home. So they're kind of a team that plays better, I think, at home than away. So that we have to take into consideration. They probably are higher than they should be based on the players they have. They're a little bit higher. So actually, credit to Moyes for that. And yeah, they're playing pragmatic football. But let's not forget that it was 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, before Moyes got there. West Ham were fighting a relegation battle every year.
Yep.
So people do get spoiled. That's what I'm saying.
People do. Yep. Anything on this, Lee?
Yeah,
you don't have to.
Yeah, it was a fun game to watch. I enjoyed it. I'm liking seeing Luke Shaw back on the pitch, just because obviously ex-Southampton guy. And I think he really does make a difference for you guys. Obviously, having Lisandro and Maguire back has given you a bit more of a sort of solid base as well. But yeah, Kobbie Mainoo keeps doing his thing as well. Like I thought, he was excellent against Wolves, not just the crazy goal to win it, but he played well, and then he played well again today. And yeah, you shut down any threat West Ham had, really. There was the one Onana save at the start. That was a good save. But then most of the time, you guys looked in control. Like you mentioned, Højlund took the goal really well. I thought that was like the composure to not snatch at the chance right away and then shift it onto his right foot. And that finish was cold as well. The finish was just no keeper saving that. That's hard. That's low. It's in the bottom corner. He's really, really coming into his own, because he can score those ones where he has to take a bit more time. He scored the one midweek that was a bit more scrappy, where he just made sure he got first onto the end of the low cross in the box. And I think I've said before that I think his ceiling is quite high. You know, it takes some time as a young centre forward, especially, to adapt to the Premier League because of the pace of the game, and you know, it is different, especially coming from the Italian league. So I think he's starting to adapt, and we're starting to see the best of him. So that can only be good for United, to have a centre forward that's going to give you something that previous centre forwards weren't, because Martial wasn't doing it for you when he was there. Rashford, when you move him central, he doesn't look as comfortable as he looks out wide. You know, this is the sort of number 9 you've needed for a little while now, because he is mobile, he is physical, he can play back to goal, he can face up and run at people, and he can finish. That's the main thing. He can finish as well. He's ruthless. So yeah, really good, and just a really complete performance, like Martin said as well. Garnacho, he's just a menace, cutting in off that side, looking for shots, looking for assists. Yeah, just a really strong performance all around from you guys, and the same midweek as well, even though it was a bit closer than you'd have liked. Like you say, a win at Wolves, it's worth it.
Yeah, and happy birthday, Holland. And I just want to say, a lot of people are gonna like rate Bruno Fernandes's performance low, but in the last 2 games, if you watch him, like, Ten Hag has definitely tweaked the system, and all the midfielders are playing more defensive, and he's been really good defensively, Bruno, and you got to give him credit for that. Just the same way you got to give Dalot the credit for fixing Maguire's mistake. He was slow on the ball. You know, Calvin Phillips ain't the only person that ain't played in a minute, even though I think Maguire's like pretty much accident prone. But like, let's give him the excuse of that he hasn't played in a minute, for that goal that he almost gave away, but Dalot saved us. And you know, hopefully, Martinez, I'm gonna send you my healing powers. We need you back, because you know how to break the line with your passes. You slide into the midfield and help us have more midfielders. Like, there's so much that you do that we've missed, that you don't see. Like, normally, United fans are like, what are we doing? Even when we have the ball, our fans complain about how we look, and it's because we miss this guy. That's how much he adds to the team. Like, it's a really good buy. And so, yeah, I'd like to shout out. This is a topic that we can all enjoy. I know Martin would definitely enjoy. What do you think about Chelsea's result, or lack of result, at Wolves? And go ahead, go in.
No, at home.
Yeah.
Not at Wolves. They play them at home.
See, you jumped in right away. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a complete disaster. Chelsea are a complete disaster, and if they get this 20-point deduction, they will be in massive trouble. Even if it's for the next season, unless something dramatically changes. I think there's absolutely no vision. Pochettino, unfortunately, is a little bit exposed here, because I don't think knows what to do, how to stop the bleeding. They can only put up a lucky performance here and there. Sometimes they were extremely lucky against us and eliminated 5 of our players, some to injury, some to cards in that game. That was the only good game probably they had all season. No, absolutely ridiculous performance against Wolves. They were completely outplayed and almost like mocked by the Wolves and Wolves fans, and some players, I think they gave up. It doesn't look like Sterling wants to play anymore for Chelsea, or at least for this team, or this coach, this manager. Some young players are trying, but it looks like a group of people who are like professionally bonded by a contract, but they don't really want to work together. That's what they look like. Like like a company is like a startup company that is giving away high salaries to this bunch of different people from all over the world. They all come and they don't like each other, and they just collect paychecks, and that's it.
I mean, Chelsea looks like somebody got 3 200-piece jigsaw puzzles, threw them into a box, shook the box up, and told the person to put one puzzle together out of the 3 together in an hour. You know, it's like, I don't even blame Pochettino. Like when I listen to what Neil has to say, he blames it on the management, but the management's in control. So they're not going to fire themselves. They're going to fire Pochettino. And it's like, he has all these youngsters. He basically has a very expensive Nottingham Forest team. Like it's like, how do you have a bunch of veterans and then just get rid of all of them and just get a bunch of unproven youngsters, even though they are like highly touted? Like you just can't have a team of just you can't have the best under 21 team in the world to play in an adult league. You know what I mean? That they would be killing it in the under 21 league, probably. But there's no way they're gonna adapt and just come together and be devastated in a professional league. You know what I mean? And it's just funny. It's just they're asking. You can't even say let Pochettino cook. He's serving undercooked food every week to the fans because you don't have the time to cook. It's Chelsea. Food got to be ready now. It's got to be delicious. One plate has to come out right after the other, or else, and it has to be al dente, or else you're fired. The question I want to ask Lee: if you're Pochettino, what do you do?
I just want to add one thing. When you said that there will be good under 21 team, that would be possible if you split Thiago Silva into 2 Thiago Silvas each.
Right.
I mean, if I'm Pochettino, I don't know. I try and find a time machine because he's in this now, and it's it's not doing his reputation any good. Because I still believe he's a good coach. You know, he's done enough elsewhere that people know that he is capable of this. But Chelsea just ruins people. It ruins players. It ruins managers. It's a black hole for reputations. It's just, it's not good. There's just something about that club. I don't know what it is, but I mean, and like you were saying, like you can say work in progress, you can say they're building and whatnot, but yeah, when you're dropping £100 million on players, like you can't be like where are they in the league right now? Let me have
11th.
a look at the table. 11th, yeah, you can't be dropping £100 million on players and not at least being like top 6. Like you should be challenging when you're dropping £100 million on more than one player. And Caicedo was terrible as well. Like he doesn't look like the player he was at Brighton.
Yeah, this is funny point. I'm gonna just interrupt with that thought and let you continue. They should never buy another player from Brighton because all the players that they pay so much money for those players from Brighton, and they keep buying them for ridiculous amounts of money. They bought Cucurella, and now they bought Caicedo. The moment they start playing for Chelsea, I would say, lose like 80% of the value, and as a player and market value as well, because that follows, right? So they should stop buying anyone from Brighton. Even the manager they brought from Brighton, he was a disaster. So they should stop with Brighton. Brighton hoodwinks them. Brighton is like the magician in like Houdini. They do this trick that they put the player in front of them that is a good player, and then through like a non-existing door, they switch him to a replica of a player that is 80% less of a player or a coach, whatnot. But Brighton are Harry Houdini Chelsea for the last couple of years, so they should stop doing any deals with that football club.
Brighton has definitely Nigerian scammed Chelsea, but here's the thing about Caicedo. Like, Brighton got him for $5 million. Like, now Chelsea bought him for $100 million. Caicedo plays more like $100 million or £100 million player when he costs $5 million. You know what I'm saying? He's way more comfortable and will play more like 100 million player when he costs 5 mil. It's another thing to play like 100 mil player when you cost 100 mil. Plus, like I said, the whole team is just a bunch of expensive youngsters. You know, there's might be a thing of entitlement. There's not enough experience around them on the pitch to show them the players that are really good and have some experience, like Chilwell, who did play this weekend, and James, what's his name?
Reece James, he's
Reece
out.
James,
yeah,
it's just out. So it's just tough. Like was it Gusto gave up that penalty? It's just shambles. But Pochettino is going to pay for this.
Yeah, like Martin said though, with the Brighton players, like Chelsea scouts need to stop looking at Evan Ferguson. Like don't even waste your time, because whatever he's doing at Brighton, he ain't gonna do for you. Like don't even bother with it. It's and if I was Evan Ferguson and Chelsea had a bid accepted, I'd be like, nope, not gonna throw my career off that cliff.
Yeah, they cannot even buy anybody. I read the story on ESPN that they have to sell over 100 million worth of players this summer to avoid the penalty, the 20 point deduction. And I'm just thinking, like, which players they're gonna sell for $100 million? Not Caicedo back to Brighton, I'll tell you that.
Well, they'll be fine, because their ownership group has some links to Saudi Arabia. They already offloaded a bunch of people last summer to Saudi Arabia. They'll probably do it again. They'll find a way.
Maybe Sterling they can sell to Saudi Arabia, I guess.
Not the way he's playing right now.
Yeah, it's a name, because like, look at the names they have. You know, who Fernandes is a World Cup winner, but not really a big part of the team. I mean, a part of the team. You know, I don't know. They don't have that many, like, really. They kind of spend a lot of money on players that were development players. You know, that the only
player they've got whose value is going up is Cole Palmer.
Yeah,
and that is it.
For sure. Yeah.
So that means the Saudi league has become like the parachute league for teams in the Premier League that might get ejected or crash into the championship because of point deduction. But especially if, like, that's a good safety net for Chelsea. So that's a good call. I want to give Villa some props. I was talking to Lloyd earlier. Lloyd doesn't know anything about football, because we talked about this game before it happened, Sheffield versus United. And he's like, yeah, they're going to kick us. They're going to get physical. It's going to be a tough game. And they just waltzed onto that field and waltzed off it with 5 goals. Like, it was light work, light skin work. And Villa 5-0. Since we got Martin on, let's talk about
quick fun fact about the Villa Sheffield United game. So start of the season, Southampton signed Mason Holgate on loan from Sunderland. From Everton, and we debuted him against Sunderland. His first game, we lost 5-0. He was barely seen in the team since then. Everton terminated his loan in the January window, loaned him out to Sheffield United. He made his debut against Villa, lost 5-0. This must be history that a guy has made 2 back-to-back debuts in one season of 5-0 losses. I mean, poison. Don't have him anywhere near your team. You will lose, or just sign him and never play him, because if you play him, you're going to lose 5-0. It's not good.
And if you don't play him, you're going a 22-game unbeaten streak.
Exactly. Yeah, the guy's cursed, I swear. Or just, you know. But I fail to understand that one, though, because he became our 4th choice centre back, and Sheffield United
in the championship, and you're in the championship.
Yeah, in the championship. So Sheffield United went, you know, who we need to plug our leaky defence is a guy who lost 5-0 in his debut for Southampton, couldn't get back in the team, and is now 4th choice centre back in the championship. We need that guy to step up and play Premier League football. It's madness, really. They must have been desperate, and I don't know. Maybe he won't play for them again after the weekend.
And I was going to brush over that game, but I just want to be like, when you read the scoreline Sheffield 0, Aston Villa 5. You're like, isn't this the type of score you brought in Chris Wilder to prevent? Didn't you bring him in so that you could have at least competitive losses? Like Higginbottom is at home going, bruh, like, I could have done that. Why'd you get rid of me? But, this is another management problem where they sold their two best players coming into the Premier League, which doesn't make any sense. You're making more money from TV rights. I don't know why Sheffield handled coming into the Premier League so terribly, and it's they're going down for sure. There ain't many predictions. Like, this is a season where you didn't know Chelsea was going to be this bad. You didn't know United was going to be celebrating being six. You didn't know if Liverpool was going to come back. You didn't know that Newcastle was going to drop that much and that Brighton Hove was going to drop that much. There's just so many unpredictability, but the most predictable, Sheffield, bye. How you feel about basically losing 2 points, Martin, to Everton?
I mean, Everton is a good team. Don't forget they didn't get the memo about offloading players to Saudi Arabia at some point when it mattered, and they got 10 points deducted. So
yeah.
So they didn't have enough schemers on their to make the schemes that were working for Chelsea for the last 5 years until now. But it's a solid. Listen, it's a mid-table team, and they played at home, and they were a little lucky at the end because, of course, Romero, who else, made a mistake by trying to play the ball out of play, and he pretty much handed the pass for a easy finish to the guy from the Everton. Too bad. Richarlison scored two great goals. I think Richarlison so far is in 2024 the best player in the Premier League. I think in this year he's so far the best player in the league. If he counts since January, he scores every game. He scores a goal, and he's fantastic.
Yeah, he has scored
every single game.
Every single game, yeah. All right. I still don't think he's the best player, but yeah, he's definitely
only
put the numbers up
for the first month. Okay.
Let me ask you a question. When Son comes back, what are they going to do? Do they cool down Richarlison's streak by taking him out and putting Son back in, or they like, Son, you gotta chill, son? Like, what do you do? What would you do?
Interesting, because you have to rotate those players. Now you have Kulusevski, Johnson, Son, and Richarlison for
Turner, Maddison.
Yeah, and Maddison, who played. Yes. I think
Timo Werner as well, been playing well.
Probably Johnson, Kulusevski will be the ones losing some minutes in that rotation. It depends also if we buy. When is the transfer deadline done?
Yeah.
Oh, it's done. So we didn't buy Gallagher at the end. We might do it in the summer. Then.
Who?
We're close to buy Gallagher from Chelsea. They were very advanced negotiations, but I think Chelsea didn't buy someone, so they didn't sell Gallagher because they didn't buy someone they tried to buy. That's why they didn't, because it was like a deal that if they buy someone they tried to buy, I forgot the name, they're gonna immediately sell Gallagher to us. And I think that's the first part of the transaction didn't happen, so they didn't sell it. But I think they probably will in the summer, because they have to offload some money, obviously, and that's an obvious choice, because he probably is like 50 million type of a player, I guess. So half of the penalty money. But yeah, I mean, listen, we're doing fine. We're doing fine, except of this one terrible Chelsea game that cost us our best defender, best midfielder, red cards, and we lost 4 games in a row after that. I think we're doing really good, and we're playing. I think we're playing at home next game. Not a Brighton, I think.
Let me look. Brighton, yeah, at home. You hear me, Martin? You got Brighton at home.
Brighton, yeah. So we'll have a chance to win this game, and there is a small window for top 4. That would be ahead of the time. I would say top 6, very possible. Top 4 somehow became possible, but we'll see.
All right. You got any thoughts on Tottenham versus Everton? I'm happy they took away what's his name goal and gave it to Harrison. I don't know why, but Everton, man. One thing I say about Sean Dyche, like the way Everton has been playing the last few years has been so inconsistent. But this is the only manager I've seen, even better than Ancelotti, that has gotten like the team to perform, whether they win, score, or lose, like play hard, like consistently. Like I used to see Everton like play some games and you'd be like, damn. And then the next week you're like, who are these dudes? This ain't the same dudes I saw last game. Like this can't be. Like these guys got out lounge chairs and they're just sunbathing while the other team scores on them. So Sean Dyche has definitely like made this team commit to playing. So Everton fans should be happy with that performance against Spurs.
One of the interesting things I found from this game was every upcoming opponent for Tottenham just had a light bulb moment watching this game, which was, Vicario's been a good keeper this season. He's a good shot stopper. But every team now, it's like, we need to stick crosses on that guy. We need to put corners on him. We need to put balls into the box because if it's in a certain area, he isn't looking the strongest. And, if there's one team that's going to expose that in you, it's a Sean Dyche team. There's going to be balls into the box. But now every team might be looking at thinking, we need to get more balls into the box when we play Spurs. Because, if Vicario doesn't flap at it, Romero will probably kick you in the head and give away a penalty or something, because that's what he does a lot of games. They looked really weak on crosses, which, if I was a Spurs fan, I'd be worried at that, because I think, teams are smart. They'll look at that today and go, okay, there's a weakness we can exploit. Spurs had looked a little bit more solid under Ange in certain games, but that was ropey to give up that game so late and only draw against a team that are struggling down in the basement. So not a good look.
It's a good point. Of course, it's better to win this game for sure, But like I said, they're not typical bottom three team. They shouldn't be there in normal circumstances. It's not a bad team. It's in my opinion better team, So I take it with a grain of salt. It's not a great result, but it's not a disaster result.
That's true.
Everton will take points from people, and I think they'll stay up. I really do.
And that's a good point, Lee. I forgot about those moments in the game with those corners, and all you have to do is put some pressure on that goalkeeper's bicycle frame, and because when the first goal went in, he was the only one. None of his teammates was down with him, like spotting the ball for a foul. Like they were walking towards the halfway line for the reset, and he's like, "It was a foul, no, bruh." But I do think he couldn't have saved the second goal. Like that ball was more for what's his name, Braithwaite, that 7'9" whatever Everton player who just like. Yeah, but I don't like. I like Vicario at the beginning of the season, but if he's gonna be flapping and like rolling around and doing these antics and acting like he's Richarlison, then
one game, guys. Alisson, who is considered the best keeper in the world, had just a really bad game. Yeah, and that happens. Listen, Ederson had bad games. Lloris had bad games.
Vicario ain't no
had bad games.
Alisson.
Onana started the season. It was a disaster. He's not a bad keeper. So it's easy for once you're a goalkeeper and you're presenting certain standard, and I think Vicario was a very high standard from the start of the season. One bad game and people start questioning you. It's unfortunately that's the life of a goalkeeper. If a striker, let's say Haaland, has 2 games where he misses a lot of chances, people will not stop doubting that he is a great goal scorer.
Because he scored 50 the season before. There's no way.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you're a football fan, you are faced with some tough decisions. And one of the tough decisions I was faced with Saturday morning was there were 3 Premier League games at the same time. So I had to choose one. And I'm like, which one do I watch? And I was like, man, this is tough because they're both not all 3 of them weren't headlining matches. But what I've learned is if you pay attention to who's playing, even though they're not like the biggest teams, like there's a reason for one of these games to be the games of the week. So I was like, which one of these games is it going to be? And the obvious game was the one that they show on USA, because that's where the pregame show is. So then you just normally just watch that because they've selected what they think is going to be the best game for you. And then if you want to watch the other games, you got to go to Peacock. But then I was like, looking at Luton versus Newcastle, because Newcastle ain't where they were at the beginning of the season. And then Luton, they're cellar dwellers. But I was like, they got 2 ex-Man United players, and they've been looking good lately, even though they're down at the bottom. So I chose that game. And I did, even though I was hoping it was the right game to choose, I was not expecting 4-4. I was not expecting 4-4, and that was a fucking game. And it broke my heart that Luton couldn't take those 3 points home. But well played. They showed up. Ross Barkley is balling. I heard because he's balling in England, even before this game, people started calling talk radio and saying they should put him on the England team. No. Nah. Just keep playing Ross Barkley. But he's not England quality material, but I'm glad he found a place. And I don't think Luton's going to stay up, but they really, they've been playing really watchable football. And that was in Newcastle. When Luton went up 4-0, I looked at the time and I said, that's just too much time for Luton to hold on to a 4-2 lead up at Newcastle. In football, they say the toughest lead to keep is 2-0. Well, 4-2 is 2-0, and you're at Newcastle with 20 minutes left. So I'm not surprised that Luton tied, but I don't think they choked. I don't know if anybody saw that or they got any thoughts on it, but we can go to Southampton and what they do.
First, just credit to Luton for even getting a result at Newcastle, to be honest, because that was one way you'd expect them to do that. And I thought they would probably be bottom out of all the promoted teams, and they're putting up a hell of a fight. So credit to Luton. But yeah, we're 23 unbeaten. We went and played Rotherham away at the weekend. We sold out the extended away section that we had up there.
How many seats is that?
I can't remember exactly how many it was, but we took a lot, and it's a long old trip. Rotherham's quite north. It's in Yorkshire. And 2-0 win. Adam Armstrong got a goal. Jan Bednarek, the strongest player on the Polish national team. I think he's scored more than Lewandowski this season, I think.
Oh, shit.
Possible. That's possible.
Lewandowski scored a banger this weekend.
Bednarek scored for us. Adam Armstrong scored for us. We won 2-0. It's fairly comfortable. We should have probably had more. We signed David Brooks on loan from Bournemouth, who's a really good player I really like. So he came in off the bench for his debut, created a really big chance that we should have scored from as well. So he looked good. It's looking good at the moment. I'm going. We're playing Tuesday this week against Watford in the FA Cup replay for the right to play Liverpool. So if we get through that will definitely be the game where our streak ends if it doesn't end before then. Liverpool will put an end to that. So we'll just have to look at an unbeaten league record, hopefully. We're playing Watford on Tuesday, so I'm going to go down, watch that, and see how we look in that game. Yeah, it's just going great right now. We're second because Ipswich lost this weekend.
Oh shit!
But Leeds are putting a little run together as well. So we both leapfrogged Ipswich. So the table is now Leicester are top, we're second, Leeds are in third. So yeah, it's all the relegated teams are the top three now. Parachute payments are doing their thing. Yeah, I'm hoping we can keep this run going. We lost Charlie Alcaraz to Juventus.
What'd you do?
On a
Sell?
loan?
On a loan?
Yeah, a loan with an option to buy, but also like the option to buy we decide, so he can come back. But it's kind of weird because he was being kept out of our team by Stuart Armstrong, who's been playing ridiculously good recently. And we signed Joe Rothwell on loan from Bournemouth, who kind of plays a similar role to Alcaraz. And at the time, I was sort of like, okay, it's a good signing. He's experienced, but we've got a lot of players in that position now. But the board have said they were prepping for, because they knew there was interest in Alcaraz. They needed some cover in there. So yeah, Alcaraz couldn't get in our team every week, so he's gone to Juventus because it's an easier team to get into.
Yeah. They're only top of the league in the Serie A.
But yeah, I mean, it's a shame because he's a player I really enjoyed watching. He was a good character as well. But I'm just having a look because they played Inter this weekend, Juve. I'm going to see if he got any minutes in that game. He wasn't starting. He came off the bench. For Juve against Inter. So yeah, it's I mean, regardless of if we lose him, I think the option to buy is for a fee that would make us a big profit on him. And if he does, say we get promoted and he comes back, we've got a player that's just played for Juventus for 6 months.
That's pretty dope.
So that experience won't hurt him either way. So I think we win out of that deal either way. It's a smart move. It was a smart move when we signed him because he was a player with big potential. So the plan would always be to either get the best out of him in the Premier League, which hopefully we could if we go up, or make a healthy profit on him. Do that buy low, sell high model. So yeah, it's looking good at the moment.
Which is your traditional model?
Yeah.
What position does Brooks play? Because I remember liking Brooks from Bournemouth.
He's a winger. He can play sort of off the right, but he can play off the left. He can play as a 10 if needed as well. But I think like right wing is his best position because he struggled with he had a form of cancer for a few years. Hodgkin's lymphoma is what he had, and that took him out of playing for a while. And then obviously he went through the stages of dealing with that and the recovery, and then he was given the all clear and came back to football. So it's he played for a little while, sort of coming back, but he had obviously it took a little while for him to get back up to speed, but he got there. But in that time, Bournemouth had signed players, and he wasn't getting the minutes he needed at Bournemouth. So we're quite close locally as well. So I think our training ground is about maybe 20 minutes from Bournemouth. So it's a nice move for him. He doesn't need to move his family or anything. He can come and play for us, get some minutes, and yeah, he's looking sharp already. He looked good when he kicked because Bournemouth played him in like some cup games, and he scored against Swansea in I think it was the FA Cup. So he can't play for us in the FA Cup, but yeah, he's one I'm really happy with because in my opinion he's a Premier League quality player. So I was really happy for us to get him in.
I did kind of feel like he was a baller when I used to watch Bournemouth when they first came up. So yeah, I do remember him. Before we do fantasy league, which games do you guys think next weekend are the games? I will mention Chelsea Crystal Palace just because you have two coaches whose heads are laying on the guillotine, and so I'll mention that. That's a beheading game. That's a coaching beheading game. But West Ham Arsenal could be interesting, but Aston Villa United is definitely a marquee game. Like we're kind of like close to them now. I know they want the points, I know we beat them over the holidays. I know they want revenge. I know they're playing better than us on a whole. And I know we might not have Martinez. And and I know they just put Sheffield to the sword, and they're confident. Unai would definitely like to have United scalp. So I am worried about that game. And then, I don't want to hear from Lloyd after this. If we lose, I'll take a point. But whatever games do you guys think?
I think Spurs Brighton will be a good game to watch. It was entertaining last time they played each other when Brighton beat them. It's just the two teams are sort of a similar-ish style of football. There's some differences, but obviously they both want the ball. They want to attack. So I think that one will be quite an open game. And yeah, I'm looking forward to you guys against Villa as well, because I think the form you're in, that'll be a good game. See if you can take it to Villa. So yeah, I think yours and Martin's games are the ones that I'm actually most looking forward to.
Chelsea, for sure, yeah.
And Chelsea, yeah. And there's one more game tomorrow, Monday, Brentford versus Man City. So that Man City will make up for that game. But yeah, I don't even know if I'm rooting for Brighton next weekend because they're right behind us. If they win, and then I don't want Spurs to get further away from us. But I still think Spurs is better than us overall. And just based on the season's performances so far, I don't think we could catch them or deserve to catch them, But if we still preying on Martinez's knee ligaments, if he's back in, maybe we could go on a good, nice. I just like the way we're playing now, like defensively sound. Bruno staying back. At the beginning of the season, Casemiro would bomb on. We'd leave one holding person there. Both midfielders would be forward, and we just be so open, susceptible to counters. And now we're playing this thing the right way. So let's hope that helps at Villa, who are very dynamic team. Dynamic, pain in the ass team with all cylinders firing. Liverpool versus Burnley. Trying to see what else. All right, what that you got anything to say, Martin, about any of these games? Your game?
Yeah, I expect us to win this game because I think we're just better, and I think we will win this game. I think, like, I agree with you. Someone from the two, Chelsea and Crystal Palace, will fire their coach. Some of them, that might happen even before the game. I think the change will happen, and Aston Villa will win against United, I think.
It's possible. I can't.
I think Aston Villa are a strong team, and I want actually United to win because I don't want Aston Villa to get 3 points. So I will be rooting for United in that game because they're right ahead of us.
You have to be a little bit more positive than that. It's than the way you came in. But
no, I mean, I want United to win this game for sure because I don't see United cracking to top 4, but I definitely see Aston Villa doing that. For us, would be ahead of the schedule. But well, listen, since the opportunity is there, why not to get this opportunity? Sometimes it's fun in sports, and Bill Simmons, who I'm listening to his podcast all the time because it's when I'm in the gym I like still to listen to his podcast when he talks about the NBA, and he made this point because Boston Celtics for the last 7 years they had like a young team that was always technically overachieving, but they got to the finals once and they got to the conference finals like 3 or 4 times, and they never won the title in those 7 years. And people are like, yeah, they're still young, they have time. But no, you don't know if you have time. The season matters always, no matter what. People like to use the word building, like United are building for the last 11 years and they haven't built anything really.
And you see those 3 teenagers sitting on the advertising board, that's building, bro.
So it's the same with the Spurs. Listen, we're ahead of the schedule, but so what? If there's opportunity to crack into top 4, let's crack into top 4. Let's do it. Let's go for it. Let's go for it. I would say 10 games ago, 15 games ago, I would be very skeptical. Now I see there's a real opportunity to do that. Let's do it. So Yeah. So Aston Villa is more of a competition at this moment. I'm going to root for United.
All right. Thanks for the backhanded route. Before we do the fantasy league, Mbappe to Real Madrid. Does this make sense to y'all? It doesn't to me. Just because Mbappe insists that he's a left-sided player, and that's all, and that's the only place he wants to play. He doesn't want to go down the middle. Real Madrid already has Vinicius. How do you work this out?
Okay, I'll tell you how. First of all, Real Madrid are, since the Galacticos era, let's not forget, players are making a lot of money, clubs are earning a lot of money for one particular reason. It's business. It's a show business right now. That's what it is. And Mbappe is the biggest name out there with Messi, maybe, but Messi is 36 years old. So Mbappe, let's say, is the biggest star in his prime there is in the entire world. So yes, of course, it makes sense because they'll make a lot of money from his jerseys, and he will win trophies, and he'll be the best player in the world, probably, or one of the best players in the world, and he'll be great. If Vinicius is a victim of the situation, so be it. You know, it happened before many times. Unfortunately, that's how it works.
Yeah, that's true. Any thoughts on that, Lee?
Yeah, I mean, I think they could coexist in a team. What I would do is just play one of them on the left, play one of them through the middle, and tell them they can just interchange. That would be a defender's nightmare. Because I think Vinicius can play as a like a false nine almost. And I would hate if you're playing against them and 1 minute, one's in the center, one's out the other side, and then they switch positions, picking up the ball in different positions and running at you. I think they could make it work.
If Vinicius plays false nine, does that affect Bellingham at 10?
I don't think so, because I think because Vinicius would naturally drift into wide areas anyway, and that would leave then space for Bellingham to come into. But yeah, it's up to the coach to figure it out. If someone signs you Mbappe, it's a gift, and it's then up to you as a coach to earn your money and make that work somehow. And as good as Vinicius is, I think Mbappe is slightly a level above. So even if it meant they needed to sell him, which Real Madrid aren't against that, and they probably might need to fulfill financial fair play anyway.
Right.
And Vinicius has kind of done like the things you would want to achieve at Real Madrid as well. It depends if he wants to be like a lifetime player there, or if he would want to experience something different, because I don't think there'll be any shortage of clubs queuing up to try and sign him. Maybe he wants a different experience. Maybe he wants to try the Premier League. Who knows? Maybe he wants to go and take PSG's money. It's an interesting one. But I think if they don't need to sell him and they can sign Mbappe, I think it could work. Like I say, it's Ancelotti's problem.
Is Ancelotti going to stay there past this season? Didn't he say this was his last season, or no? Am I making that up?
No, I don't think he's confirmed anything yet, because he was linked with a Brazil job at one point.
Right.
And then that one where another didn't materialize. So I think he's just carrying on at the moment. I watched their game today as well, Real Madrid as well, against Atletico Madrid. Finished 1-1. Real Madrid should have finished them off in that game. They had a lot of chances but didn't score, and then Llorente scored for Atletico Madrid like deep into injury time. But Brahim Diaz scored for Real Madrid. He looked very good.
Yeah, I got to watch that. But yeah, I'm a definitely watch that. What that fantasy league do?
Well, Martin had a good week. He pulled ahead of me a little bit, but
you know how I know he had a good week? He came on the podcast this week.
Exactly. But yeah, he had Garnacho in there, Palmer, Saka, Watkins.
Damn.
But his defense did nothing. He had Vicario in there, so that was a mistake. But tomorrow, Man City Brentford, Martin has Foden, who is his captain, and he has Alvarez.
Damn.
So Martin has two players in that game, and Foden never a guaranteed starter because you never know what Pep's going to do with his midfield. In that game, I have De Bruyne, I have Ivan Toney, and I have
Okay.
Haaland as my captain. So depending on which players show up in this game, either Martin's lead's going to get bigger or I'll close the gap. So it's not a done deal on this week. He'll stay ahead of me, but it might not be by as much if De Bruyne and Haaland show up in this game, or if Tony does what he's done against City before and causes an upset.
Well, listen, if one of those two players that you mentioned will not play, I have on the bench, the first guy from the bench is Pedro, who will jump in with, I think, 8 or 9 points, and then
they'll play though. Foden and Alvarez will play, but Alvarez will start. Foden, if he doesn't start, he'll come off the bench. So hopefully he'll come on and just get 1 point by doing nothing.
Haaland will not start, or they will start together. You think Alvarez and Haaland?
I think Haaland will start because it's Brentford, and Brentford are big on set pieces. So I think they'll want Haaland's size in the team.
Oh.
Alvarez might not play.
I think Alvarez would still start. They play both of them. They play Alvarez as like a 10 just off of him.
Yeah.
Is it too late for
Alvarez, like when Haaland got injured, I switched him for Alvarez, and Alvarez was a good buy in fantasy team. Yeah, I mean, if you can check my fantasy team, you see that I still have almost 15 million pounds reserve that I'm keeping for Salah when he comes back, and maybe I'll monitor Haaland. You know what happens with Haaland. I sold him when he got injured. I still have the reserve for both of them, so I have a very cheap team right now, like really cheap, but they're all performing. Those guys, they're I guess underpriced. Like Alvarez, Watkins, Cole Palmer now scored today for me. Garnacho is super cheap.
I had Hinshelwood from Brighton who scored. He's only 4.5 million, which was a nice one. Watkins did well for me, but yeah, because I had that surplus when I took Salah out, but as soon as De Bruyne came fit again, I was like, well, he's going in. So hopefully De Bruyne and Haaland will deliver.
Martin, what place are you in now?
I don't know, like 14th, I think.
We're both still way down there. Martin has jumped up to 15th. And I'm in 20th. Top of the league is still Ahmed Zekri.
Ahmed, what up? And who else behind him?
So Ahmed is top, and Joey Duda is back in second place.
What happened to Neil? Neil was like top 10, and now he's like almost at the end of the.
Yeah, Neil started the season strong, from what I remember.
Yeah, he's tailed off a little bit.
Yeah, he's mirroring Chelsea in real life in the fantasy league. All right, guys, we did it. We did another episode. We got through the whole Premier League. We talked about some upcoming games next weekend. We talked about Real Madrid and Mbappe.
We didn't talk about this funny situation when the Inter Miami played a friendly game and fans started chanting refund because Messi didn't play.
And where was that at?
Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Hong Kong. It's hilarious. I mean, fans, there's no guarantee that your favorite 40-year-old player is going to play an exhibition game in your country. There's just no guarantee. You roll the dice when you buy the tickets. And I know nobody goes to see Inter Miami games, and the only reason to go to see an Inter Miami game is because you got Messi. But you still got a bunch of other stars on the team. Did Suarez play?
Suarez was sitting on the bench as well. I don't know if he came on, but I know with 6 minutes to go, he was still on the bench.
Oh, damn. What about
Busquets and a bunch of other people?
Yeah, they still got a bunch of.
And Messi, I think he kind of said that what we already knew that will most likely happen, that he's pretty sure he wants to play the World Cup in 2026 and then retire after. But he wants to play almost 40 years old at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, the venues got announced today.
Oh yeah.
The schedules got announced. So the opening game of the World Cup is going to be played in LA, on your guys' home turf. So
did they say where in LA?
Yeah, it's going to be at the SoFi Stadium.
I should try to go to that game.
And then the final is going to be at the MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. but they're calling it a New York, New Jersey final because it sounds better than a New Jersey final.
Hilarious. New Jersey always sounded better when New York was in front of it. Yeah, SoFi game. I should try to. And there's going to be other games at SoFi too, right?
Oh yeah. There's going to be a whole bunch. Yeah, because it's one of the main venues. So, and there's so many games as well. That's
right. When do tickets for that go on?
It'll be in different stages. So there'll be like a FIFA ballot where you can just apply for random tickets, and then you'll find out if you get them. But it will happen in different stages. I don't know if they'll do in some places in tournaments before they've done like a separate ballot for residents of that city. Which gives like local people a better chance to see the games as well. And there's fan ballots for the fans of those particular nations once the games are decided who's going to be playing. And then there's some just general FIFA ballots as well. So it happens in loads of different stages.
You think we can get press for these games? Well, just to answer the question, could you get press if you wanted to go see these games? Could you get a press for these games? Are you listening?
FIFA,
yeah.
I think FIFA accreditation is a lot more stringent.
And going to see an LAFC game, or
Yeah.
Martin, could you get a press pass for yourself to go see a World Cup game?
I haven't done it in a long time. Although I did go. Last week, LAFC invited me to participate in something they're gonna put on their multimedia starting the season. I'm not gonna reveal what it is, but I did a gig for LAFC, so technically I did something. And I will go to LAFC games. I don't think I can do the World Cup. I'll probably have to buy tickets.
I'm gonna look into that.
There are going to be more games than usual at this World Cup as well. The schedule is going to be crazy because of the expansion. So the World Cup in 2022 in Qatar was 64 matches. The World Cup in 2026 is going to be 104 matches.
That is crazy.
Yeah, because they've expanded to 48 teams. So it's going to be a lot of games. The group stages alone are 68 games, which is more than the entire World Cup last time. So yeah, it's going to be a big schedule. It's a lot.
Normally, right? I'm trying to remember when the World Cup kicks off after the first day. What is it? 3 matches a day normally, or 4?
4. Yeah, 2 from one group, 2 from another.
So how many a day would it be?
6 probably. Yes. So it's like there'll be like 5 or 6 games. And what if, like, how excited are you going to be watch Honduras play? I don't know. North Korea.
Hey, that's the game you might be able to get press tickets for.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Like regular tickets under $1,000.
Yeah, because that opening game at SoFi Stadium, it'll be the US men's national team versus someone. Usually the holder, I think, isn't it? So it might be. Oh no, not the holder. The holder, because it's not decided on which groups they're in. So yeah, it'll be the US playing someone, and yeah, I think that'll be crazy.
It will be the holder. The hosts are not.
No, it won't be because Qatar did not play. Qatar, who won? Qatar didn't play France in the first one.
No. Qatar played, I think, in the first one. They played Venezuela. Right. Played Ecuador. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I think
they Ecuador
for that one, because always before it was always the holder played the first game. I remember when Argentina played Cameroon and lost that game, and when they were the holders. Remember Maradona? That was like the all-time upset when Cameroon beat them 1-0 in that game, 1990.
Yeah, but now that they've added 905,000 games, you don't go with the holder anymore. So it was just it's the
host. The 94. The first game was the 94. The first game was West Germany played against Bolivia because they won in 90. Then in 94 Brazil won, and in 98 the first game was Brazil against Scotland 2-1. So the holder again. 2002 France They were the holder. They were playing Senegal in the first game, and they lost the game.
Senegal won.
Yeah, 2006. Who won in 2002? Brazil.
But
2006,
Germany, I think Germany played the opener, didn't they, against Costa Rica in 2006. Philip Lahm, I remember Philip Lahm scored a belter.
When they changed 2006 then. Okay.
Yeah. I remember 94 because of Diana Ross's penalty miss in the opening ceremony. They set up a goal that was meant to break in half when she scored a penalty, but then she missed the target. If you've never seen it, if you just go on YouTube and look up Diana Ross penalty, it's one of the best things ever. I think the opening game was in Chicago in 94.
Germany against Bolivia. Marco Echeverri, El Diablo, was injured. I remember he was like to be the big star of the tournament. He was like this new sensation from South America. So he started injured. Everybody's talking about Marco Echeverri, El Diablo. So finally he's coming off the bench in the second half. Then he fouled someone 2 minutes in and got a red card. And then there was El Diablo.
Well, he was El Diablo in that game.
The 94 final as well was Rose Bowl.
Yep, 0-0.
Roberto Baggio sticking his penalty over the bar for the loss for Italy.
People are still stuck in traffic coming back from that game.
I know you love the Rose Bowl traffic.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh man. And I'm complaining, and I live in a state where people complain about traffic, but that traffic to that Juventus Real Madrid game was so legendary. Like, I will never forget. We lived 15 minutes from the place. We left an hour and a half before kickoff, and we got there halftime. Fucking bananas.
I can still hear the anger in your voice.
Yeah. It'll never leave. It'll never leave. No therapy would ever get rid of that anger.
We probably on a bicycle we would have made it sooner, right?
Yeah. Shit, walking.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. In a potato sack race, we could have made it done. That was ridiculous. Well, all right, guys. Anybody want to plug anything before we bounce?
No, just Lee Hudson Comedy on Instagram and Twitter. It's where I post all my I've been posting some clips up recently.
See that. My
guy
with the clips.
I did a show at a club with that has a nice camera, so I've been making the most of that. I was like, right, let me see how many bits I can get out of this. So I'm going to release a few more over the next few days, get them out there. So Lee Hudson Comedy on Instagram be where I post those.
So Martin, what you got? Any new projects?
Yeah, they're coming out this month. I'm gonna keep it as a secret for now. But follow me on Instagram, Martin Harris. It's gonna be. I'll update whenever there's something that comes out. I will put it out there.
All right, I'm on Twitter at Ian Edwards Comic. I'm also on Instagram at Ian Edwards Comic. And thank you all for listening and watching. We love you. Be good. It's raining like crazy in LA. So LA people, be crazy. It's the winter. The weather's probably terrible in other places. Everybody be careful. Enjoy the football. We love you. 1.